that this trust thing is everything in relationships. That's why I said it back then. That's why I'm saying it now. And it's built every single day. Rome was not built in a day. It was built every day.
Whether it be, actually together in an official relationship or have known each other or whatever it is, dating on and off, it doesn't matter because you have X amount of years.
Yeah.
You inherently trust each other. Conscious couples, business partners, and singles committed to attracting their dream partner. Welcome to the Conscious Couples podcast, where we share our life, love story, and combined relationship expertise to help you create and consistently cultivate the most magnificent, intimate relationship possible.
Never again will you feel hopeless and alone in your intimate relationship challenges.
Having accumulated thousands of hours coaching conscious couples and individuals all over the world, as well as starting and growing a global business together, Alan and I are here to guide you in all things relationships.
Thank you again for tuning into the one place where it's not about you or me, it's about the we. Conscious couples and singles from all over the world, welcome back to the Conscious Couples podcast. We are here for episode number... Go ahead.
26.
Episode number 26.
Yeah.
Emilia was sign languaging to me on that one, which I'm really grateful for. So this is how to build and grow unwavering trust. So quick story. And first, before I give the story, a huge shout out and thank you to Next Level Podcast Solutions for producing this show, audio, video, and the works. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Show notes, all of the above. Okay. You allow us to do what we do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Quick story. So Kevin and I, early on in our podcast journey, we're talking 5.5 years ago now. Mm-hmm. We are in my basement of the home I grew up in, and we're recording a podcast episode about intimate relationships. Mm-hmm. And he had actually shown up high for this, which was interesting. And this was long before we really got it together, let's be honest. Mm-hmm. But anyways, we were talking about intimate relationships, and he asked me a very simple question. He said, what do you believe is the most important aspect of an intimate relationship? Mm. And I said, trust. Mm-hmm. I said, building and sustaining and growing trust. Mm-hmm. And he said, communication, which, believe it or not, everyone seems to agree that is the thing.
Yeah.
I think you can't have great communication without trust. And I think they're totally connected. Mm-hmm. And so if you have great trust, you'll have better communication. If you have better communication, you'll have better trust. So that's what we're going to talk about on this episode, how to build and grow unwavering trust. You cannot imagine a great intimate relationship where you can't trust each other. Mm. So ladies first, love.
Well, before I even go, babe, I want to ask you what's your intention for this episode, because I think it's important for our listeners to understand what our intentions as hosts of the show are for them as they journey into this episode.
You're messing up the ladies first thing.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
It's okay.
That is okay. All right. So maybe I got to can that. I don't know, because I did tell like a whole elaborate story first anyway.
I appreciate you. I'm just passing it back your way.
Okay. My intention for this episode is to prove Kevin wrong. No, I'm kidding. No, my intention for this episode is to help our listeners and viewers understand not only the importance of trust, but the actual day-to-day self-discipline that it requires to actually build and maintain and sustain it over the long term. Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of people establish trust, but the analogy here that I use is it can take a decade to build a bridge and one day to tear it down. And that is the unfortunate truth. And I'll say this as well. I was thinking about this just the other day. Trends are often too weak to notice until they're too strong to stop. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in an intimate relationship and you're eroding trust, you might not even notice it until it's like breaking the actual relationship. Yeah. And I have a client recently who got out of an intimate relationship, and his girlfriend essentially left him. Mm-hmm. And he had no idea that was going to happen. But in hindsight, looking back, the signs were there. And he's been vulnerable and honest and courageous, and he's, working on himself, and I'm so proud of him. He's come so far since that moment, but he had to eat that humble pie of, I really screwed that up. And that is the truth, so that's my intention, is to help everyone understand trust is earned every day, and it's built every day, and you're either building trust or eroding trust at all times, and that is just the way it works.
I love that.
What about you, pretty girl?
Because that's my intention too, but you said so well. So yeah, very similar to what we say about growing. You're either growing apart or growing together. And so trust to me is very similar to that. And so my intention with this episode is to help people understand that as a concept. And specifically for those people who might not see the day-to-day as an everyday to be able to build trust, to really start to see every single day, not only every single day, but every single moment, every single thought, every single action as an opportunity to either build trust or erode it, and to build trust together or to diverge, essentially grow apart, right? And so that's my intention for this episode. And what I will get started with is I have on my Remarkable here, I said, okay, what's the truth about unwavering trust? And what's one of the biggest lies that I've seen? And as I ask myself that question, I tend to focus a little bit more on some of the biggest lies that we hear and that we see in our coaching, that we see all over the place, and that we observe in other couples. And one of the biggest myths or lies, as I labeled it, when it comes to trust and building unwavering trust is this belief that I've observed in other people that just because you're in a relationship and just because you have insert X amount of years together, years, whether it be, actually together in an official relationship or have known each other or whatever it is, dating on and off, it doesn't matter. Because you have X amount of years, you inherently trust each other. And while we can look at this from like a really big nerd lens and say sociologically and neurologically, the more we spend time with people, the more we inherently begin to trust them. And I'll put in this caveat: the more we spend time with people and the more we're around them and they're not hurting us, they're not causing us pain, they're not infringing upon our boundaries, they're not making us fear for our life, the more that trust will build. That's just how the brain tends to work. But this big myth, this big lie that a lot of people see, and I think it's a belief that really hurts couples at building this unwavering trust, is the fact that they believe just because you're in a relationship, that means we trust each other. Mm-hmm. And I think that when we look at that one belief as it pertains to this episode, how to build and grow unwavering trust, like really look at our beliefs. What is your current belief as the listener right now that you currently hold around trust? Is it something, just very simply, is it something that is gained and built over time? Every single day, there's an opportunity to build towards it. And if you just leave it alone, does that mean you still have trust with your partner? A lot of people have differing perspectives and differing beliefs and differing opinions on this. And I think that one thing that you and I intend to bring to this episode is that belief that we hold that it's earned every single day. And that's what I've also found too in observing our clients and observing so many people around the world, is that when you can see the day-to-day, the thought, your actions as an opportunity to move forward into trust and to use it as a practice so that you can build your relationship, then that is truly what builds extraordinary relationships. And so when I look at the truths about trust really is a belief. It's built over time, over actions, over doing things that matter and that are important to your partner and that make them feel like they can confide in you, that they can be vulnerable with you, that they're ultimately safe, which is the big word that I associate with trust with.
100%, babe. So you made a good point there. Time doesn't necessarily equal trust, even though we sometimes presuppose that. Mm-hmm. So everyone out there, for an example, try to think of someone who you've known for a very long time, but who deep down you don't really fully trust them. You wouldn't let them in your home when you're away because they might steal money or steal something or take something. Everyone right now, please think of someone that you know deep down, if you were honest with yourself, you cannot trust them. What does that mean? Right? even though you've known them for a really long time, you still can't fully trust them. You can't trust their integrity, their ethics, that kind of thing. And I think that to the point of trust is either built or eroding, I really think it comes down in its most simple form to setting and keeping promises.
Yeah.
To yourself
So
and
simple.
others.
Yeah.
And so, for example, what's a good example of this? Everyone think of someone right now who, if you were to text them, you're certain they would get back to you within a day. You have a lot of evidence in the past to believe that they would get back to you right away, and therefore you have trust in that because you have evidence in the past that you can look to. If you were to text me, I might not get back to you right away. And so you can't trust that I'm going to get back to you on a whim, right? And the reason why is because that is not a promise that I have made to you that I'm going to get back to you right away. And so that is what trust is. And I don't think we talk about it enough or think about it enough. Another great example of this is I have 16 team members at NLU. And I remember I had this one challenging conversation with my executive admin once of like, when you say you're going to do something, I need to be able to trust that that's actually going to go on the to-do list so that it won't slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
Because if I presuppose that thing was done and then I end up egg on my face not having something accomplished when I needed it accomplished, it's like we're not going to be able to work together if we can't trust each other.
Right.
And I can't trust that these things will get done, not because you're out of integrity, but because you're imperfect and your memory is imperfect, just like all of us. That's why we have the list. So in the future, can you please make sure that you put it on the list?
Yeah.
And so I have another really good story about setting and keeping the promises to each other in an intimate relationship. So that was, a hypothetical with texting somebody. And then that was an actual situation that happened with my executive admin. I want to give a real tangible story with Emilia and I. So this is what I have written down. So I'll tell this story briefly. So on last Thursday, I weighed in. Kevin and I were doing a 10 pounds in 10 week challenge. And I weighed in 3.8 pounds above. And my date to weigh in for below 180 was in 3 or 4 days. So for those of you who don't know, I decided I'm going to try to do a marathon. Okay. And on Sunday. So I went and I did a marathon.
Whoop, whoop.
And yeah. Emilia was there to support me. First half of the marathon went great. Third quarter was a struggle bus, kind of went from like a solid jog to like a shuffle jog, and then a shuffle jog to like a power walk. And then by the fourth quarter, it was just The Walking Dead. But we did make it. Thank you, sweetheart, for being there. So this Sunday, she did a half marathon. I did a marathon. Did is a loose term there. We did complete it, but it was a struggle. But our legs were cooked on Sunday, and she hurt her ankle. And so normally on Sundays, for those of you who don't know, we usually set the week up for success. We review the previous week, and we set the next week up for success. The home, we do the trash, we do the dishes, we do the laundry, we do all the house stuff. One of the things that Emilia normally does for our home is she'll spray the inside of the toilets to keep them clean. And I had said, don't worry, you had asked me to do it because you were resting your ankle. And icing your ankle. And I had said, I'm going to do that. Yeah. I said yes in the moment. Never wrote it down. Later that day, I was upstairs in the Nook. The Nook is a place right outside my office. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, oh my God, I'm going to end up breaking that promise to her if I don't write that down. And then I ended up asking you, sweetheart, can you please write on the whiteboard? We have a big whiteboard in our home. Can you please write in big letters, spray the toilets? As a reminder to make sure that I don't break that promise to her. And believe it or not, I don't think you actually did remember to do that. So I don't think you ended up writing it.
I did. Just not in big letters.
Not in big letters. Okay, so you wrote it up. Okay, so I didn't notice that you did write it. Later on, I rethought of it and I was like, oh, and then I went and I wrote it. It is still, to this moment, written in big letters at the center of our whiteboard because I want to make sure that no matter what, even if it takes me longer than I wanted it to, that I'm going to get that done. And here's the real reason underneath this. If I always say to Emilia that I'm going to do something and then I never do it, it's going to erode trust. And she needs to know that when I say I'm going to do something, she needs to know that she can trust that I'm going to do it. Does that mean I'm going to be perfect? No. Does it mean I'm always going to do it right away? No. Does it mean that I'm always going to do it right? No. But she can trust that I'm at least going to give a valiant effort and that it will eventually get done.
What's up, everyone? I'm Sarah Pringle, and I want to share my experience with my relationships coaching with Alan and Amelia. So first of all, it far exceeded expectations. I was definitely nervous going into it, but they carry such an I got you energy, and we went the direction that I needed to go and dug through the layers that I needed to connect back to the relationships I currently have in my life. The most empowering part was them helping me realize that I have the power to attract any relationship into my life that I want, and that I have the ability to create the most beautiful relationship with myself and understand others at such a deeper level. They're this beautiful balance of yin and yang and masculine, feminine, and I'm so beyond grateful for all the magic that they're creating and putting out there, and all the beautiful, fulfilled, conscious couples that they're helping all over the world.
And whether it's another example here is we are podcasting right now at 3 p.m. on a Friday in the middle of our day. And we had to reschedule. It was planned for Tuesday night, and I think we rescheduled it because it was late and we didn't think we could give our best effort. And we rescheduled it to 3 p.m. on a Friday, and she needed to be able to trust that I could show up here. When we put something on the calendar, we need to trust each other that we can actually be there for each other for this podcast. And you as a listener, by the way, need to be able to trust that we're going to do at least an episode a week. You need to be able to trust that we're going to show up for you and that we're going to be here. Because otherwise, you're not going to... everyone think of a podcast that records one episode every now and then when they feel like it, and occasionally they come up with a new episode, and maybe they stop for a couple months and then they start back up and then they go do something else, and you're not going to show up every week for them. You can't trust that show is going to exist in 3 months, never mind 3 years, 10 years, that kind of thing. The same goes for your intimate relationship. And if you're breaking promises that you make to yourself and to your partner, you are eroding the trust, whether you know it or not. And this needs to be a constant focal point. And that's why I wrote "spray the toilets" in big letters, because I cannot not do that. I will not do that, because I don't want the trust of our relationship to erode.
I'm grateful for that, love. I think one of the biggest challenges with that is I think, in particularly around intimate relationships. You gave a couple of examples there with team members. You gave examples with us. And I think that zooming out of those micro examples, we trust each other. We need each other, right? In certain capacities, and we choose each other every single day, because collaboration ultimately ends up getting more done in less time. You end up being able to go further, faster. Sometimes when you have really, really good teamwork in a partnership or relationship, and it's no different. I think that, I used to hold the belief that I could do everything on my own, and that was a very arrogant part of me, very, just juvenile thought and belief. And now that I've overcome that, I've really realized how much I do need help and how much it is okay. And what was really underneath that was the fear that someone couldn't measure up, and even underneath that like someone couldn't help me in the capacity that I really needed. And because I've charted the course for so many different little things, even if it is spraying the toilet so that we have the entire week of cleanliness, right? And it doesn't compound, right? There's a fear inherently when we go and we trust someone else with something that we otherwise could have done or could have experienced, insert whatever that is. And I think that the vulnerability that comes with trusting someone, that is very scary. That, even if we don't consciously know that, our subconscious is freaking out. And for whatever reason. And I think to trust is to be vulnerable. And so many people see vulnerability as weakness. And I know that juvenile part of me definitely did for a time. Now that I've come to override that and been able to find people and attract people in my life that I can trust now. Like I know, for example, my business partner, Bianca, she and I struggled to trust her initially because a lot of the times she wouldn't know what I would need. Why? Not only because she was inexperienced in those arenas, but also because I was a terrible leader. I didn't know how to explain what I needed from her because I'd never done that before. And so understanding what is your vulnerability capacity or your risk capacity with your partner, and understand what is the fear of trust if there is a challenge there. And to build unwavering trust, I really do believe it has to do with understanding your comfort or discomfort of vulnerability and how much exposure you want to have, quote unquote, with your partner. Because I know a lot of people, and I certainly was conditioned to be afraid of vulnerability and to not want to or feel as though or believe as though I could trust other people. And so some of us might be brought up from a cultural perspective with that belief. And so I think just checking that belief is really important. One last thing too that you had mentioned, babe, with respects to the timing. A lot of people trust just because of the time. I can't tell you how many people will trust partners, will trust family members. And it's actually because they've been together for X amount of years, or they've known this person for 20 plus years. They would never do anything to hurt insert person here. That is just not the case. And I want to also just be mindful of couples that are interested in building unwavering trust. And again, kind of reiterating that point, you know, if you don't trust yourself, you can't give that trust. If you're not able to be vulnerable with yourself, you are not, and you are going to struggle at being vulnerable and trusting your other partner. And so it is built every single day, and every single opportunity you really got to look at from this frame of, is it building unwavering trust? How can I do just a 1% improvement today that can do that? And so, babe, whether it was that thought of like, oh crap, I forgot to do that, and making sure that you're committed to that. That is what, when someone is so vulnerable, like for me, for example, that was, you know, it's not often that I'm injured and that I have my leg up and that you're doing things for us in the capacity that I typically do. Though you are so ridiculously helpful to make sure everything is getting done all the time. You know, you didn't bat an eye for all the things that I needed from you and to ask to have you do for us. And that was a vulnerable place for me to be in, because it's like, well, all of this stuff in my mind needs to get done. I need to trust that he'll be able to do that and have faith that he can, and give him the wiggle room that he needs, because he doesn't have as many reps in this arena as I do. And that vulnerability was uncomfortable, and it is, and that's important. But to build that unwavering trust, you have to recognize that that's pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone is so well worth it, because that other person still needs to know that you believe in them and that you can trust them.
And it goes one step further than that too, babe, because when Emilia was injured and down and out and couldn't do the things that needed to get done for Tucker or for the house or whatever, she needed to be able to trust that someone will be there. Mm-hmm. And that's building a foundation for our long-term relationship. You need to be able to trust that I'm going to be able to hold down the fort, so to speak, if and when something bad happens. And then that can give you the courage to go and try amazing things and take risks that you need to achieve your dreams. Kevin texted me. He said, "Thank you so much for holding down the fort while I'm gone."
Right.
So Kevin's in Colorado eloping, and he's getting married, and he needs to be able to trust that the business is not going to burn down when he's gone. And he can't trust just anyone with that.
Definitely not.
But he can trust me, and he needs to know that he can, and vice versa. And I know he would do the same for me. And so that this trust thing is everything in relationships. That's why I said it back then. That's why I'm saying it now. And it's built every single day. Rome was not built in a day. It was built every day. And that's exactly what this is. And so just picture two people right now to really drive this point home. One person's lied to you, broken promises to themselves, broken promises to you, told you they were one place and they were actually another. You can't trust them. You shouldn't trust them. They've lost that trust. Okay? And they have to earn it back over time and keeping promises. Not just time, but keeping promises.
Yes.
Now picture someone who always followed through when they said they would do something, who always follows through when they say they're going to go to the gym, when they say they're going to be there to pick you up, when they say they're going to call you back, when they say, and this is the thing, don't say things you're not going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on really, really well with my team. Like, they need to trust that I'm not asking them to do things that I can't do, and that I'm going to show up on time, and that I'm going to be there for the department meetings, and that I'm going to, I let one of my team members down on this past Saturday, and I didn't show up for a meeting, and she was very disappointed, understandable, because she's done nothing but show up for us.
Right. And
so I took that and was like, I'm so sorry, and I've been so much more on point ever since. So you're not going to be perfect.
No.
You're never going to be perfect, but you can get better every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make sure that you set and keep promises to yourself and others. And that will build so much trust. So strong work, babe.
I love a quote, and this is the last thing. Come hell or high water. I don't know who used to say that to me, but like I remember someone saying that to me. It was like, come hell or high water, I'll be there. Like, it doesn't matter what pops up. You can trust me. And it's not even my words. Don't look at my words, look at my actions. Mm-hmm. Let those determine what your trust and what makes you feel safe to trust me. Because again, it is earned every single day, not just in words, in actions. So grateful for that.
One last thing, love, I know we got to go. When someone's words and actions don't match, that's when there's no trust.
Oh yeah.
And so I think I heard this once. There is no actions cannot replace words, but words cannot replace actions. Words and actions both matter. Mm-hmm. Because if you say, I'll be there no matter what, hell or high water, if I said that to a friend of mine 20 years ago, no chance. I can't be there hell or high water.
Right.
I'm unavailable most of the time, right? So words and actions must match up.
Yeah.
Thoughts and actions within yourself must match up. That's what builds real trust, is when someone's words and actions are actually aligned. Mm-hmm. And that's actually a whole nother podcast episode probably in and of itself. So thank you all so much. We say we'll be here for you every week, and we are matching our words with our actions, and we have not missed. And we will not miss. So 26 promises in a row that we've kept to ourselves and to our listeners. So let's go. Let's celebrate that.
We hope we've earned your trust.
Yeah, we hope we've earned your trust. Speaking of trust, August 11th, we're also going to show up, whether you do or not.
Come hell or high water.
Yeah, come hell or high water. We're going to show up. And these are my words, not my actions. I'm kidding. Okay, so Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, August 11th. That is, if you're listening to this, it is this week. So it is literally in 3 days. Sign up now. There will be a link in the show notes, registration link. It's building your future as a team. So you've heard a lot about, and you've heard me talk about this on past episodes, but we've heard about vision boards. Having a vision board, super, super important. This is a we board, which is take Emilia's vision board and my vision board, and they have a love child.
Oh.
And that love child is called a we board. And it's our mutual we vision. And we're going to co-create that with the couples in that room. If you're single, come and join us. And you can create a regular vision board so that when you do find the love of your life, which you will, trust that. Trust that. Attract, find, search. Attract, all of those things at once, simultaneously. Come build your future with us.
If you're not searching, are you attracted?
Yeah, exactly. And that's our next episode. I'm joking. Okay, so August 11th, it's a Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us and other conscious couples and singles all over the world. And come join us. We'll create a we board together, and we'll build a future together that's far brighter than the one that is right now.
And if you are struggling right now, or you need someone to talk to about this whole trust thing, and it's been something that you've been challenged with, or you have concerns in your relationship, or honestly, if you just need a safe place to talk about it, please look at the show notes right now. Our calendar is there, and Alan and I make sure that we block every single Saturday a half hour completely free. We're not going to sell you on anything, literally to be there for our completely incredible community of people who want to grow and get better in their relationships, who want to have and or be a conscious couple. So whether you're a single person or you're a conscious couple and you want to be more conscious and you're struggling in this trust thing, like, it is a judgment-free zone. Please come, please book on our calendars. We would love to meet you and help you through that.
And you can trust that we'll be there. Sorry, I love corny endings. It's the best. As always, it's not about you or me. Nope. It's about the we. We'll talk to you next time.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. We love connecting with the Conscious Couples community, so please make sure you follow us on Instagram. I am at Evolve with Emilia, and Alan is A Lazarus 88.
Also, if you or your partner resonated with this episode, leave us a review at the link in the show notes, and please share this with someone you love and care about.
Until next time, remember, it's not about you or me. It's about
the we.